fast-paced infantry-based combat with lanes tighter than a nun's purse strings. Wait, what did you think I was going to say? What's up everyone, it's Average Ol making average content for the average viewer, and today I'm super excited to be making a video on the new Marita map for Battlefield 5. I'm going to be telling you all of my first impressions on the map and showing you some gameplay from the few games I've played. But I have to say, DICE have really done an amazing job with this one. So as always, if you enjoy the video, smash that like button and remember to hit that notification bell after you subscribe if you don't want to miss more crude jokes, bad puns and much more. Let's get on with it, shall we? So far with Battlefield 5, we have been treated to two new maps. I'm aware that we also have Al Sundan, but due to the fact that we have not been able to play it properly on the big scale game modes, I'm not really classing it as a treat. In my opinion, Mercury was extremely fun, but the other, Panzerstorm, was about as much fun as bringing up Brexit at a family meal. I'm sorry Nan, I just refuse to believe that leaving the EU is going to put an end to terrorism. But today, after a lot of waiting, we have been given what I believe to be a truly awesome map. Marita is a diamond in the rough. My first impressions of the map are that it's truly stunning. From the way that the evening light falls between the trees, to the intricate textures on all the leaves, this map really is a beauty. It honestly makes Panzerstorm look like a dog crap that the whole family has refused to pick up, so it's been left to fester. So I give Marita a 6.5 out of 7 for looks. So on to the meaty stuff, the gameplay. As I said in the intro, Marita has a very hectic and fast-paced playstyle. The map is full of small narrow streets and an amazing amount of verticality. As well as this, the map is very linear and is sort of bent around the face of the mountain, meaning that there are choke points aplenty. However, you will notice that although it does seem extremely linear on the face of things, this map is riddled with flank routes, meaning for players that take the initiative, getting behind the enemy can be a doddle, leading to some epic moments where you catch the enemy team completely unawares and take out 3 or 4 before the first one even has a chance to shout "Saniteta!" So as far as the class meta, I played on a few different servers so that I could get a more rounded view of how the map was being played, and although it's early days, a few playstyles stood out as being really successful. The obvious choice for such a close range map as this would be to use the medic class, and this was echoed in the matches I played. You get a lot of medics running around with SMGs. You would think that this means that you would get revived a lot, but I don't know if it's due to the frantic nature of the games or just because people who don't usually play medic are deciding to give it a go, but I seldom got revived despite being surrounded by medics, which was pretty frustrating, but that feeling of frustration feels fairly normal unfortunately. As well as medics, I found that you also get quite a lot of MMG players as per usual, but because of the rocky terrain everywhere, there are plenty of places to take cover and dodge as you make your advances, which does somewhat negate how annoying this can be. The real stars of the show, however, seem to be the self-loading rifles, because although the map does feel fairly claustrophobic and tight, there are actually quite a lot of long lines of sight and head glitches, meaning that you can perch yourself near an objective and quite easily pick people off as they push your objective. All in all, the map plays exactly like what it says on the tin. Very tight, very tactical, infantry based combat. So let's talk a bit about the two different game modes that I played. The map is currently in a rotation whereby you play 1 round of Conquest to 2 rounds of Breakthrough, which is brilliant because you are able to get a taste of 2 completely different ways to play the map. Let's start with Breakthrough. I found that in the games I played, Breakthrough was extremely fun because the action is so focused it means that your gunplay becomes even more intense. In addition to this, the ability to easily sneak through the lower lanes makes flanks extremely effective. Just make sure you're flanking with your squad or you may run into trouble. A couple of times I thought I had backup with me, but as I popped my head up round the corner I was greeted by the whole enemy team, and like a crack whore who's skint, I was fucked. Breakthrough isn't without its problems however. I found that the defenders have a distinct advantage because if you're attacking, it literally is an uphill battle. I mean, it's on the side of a mountain, it's hardly surprising. This is particularly noticeable as you move through the second phase of Breakthrough, as the B point is tucked away behind a bit of a mountain and snipers look down on you as you try and push. There is a long flank you can take round to the left hand side, but due to the fact that I was able to find this almost immediately, I'd say that it's a worse kept secret than Boris's cocaine fueled past. All of this means that unless you have an extremely competent team, it's hard to push past the second point, meaning that the defenders will often win the round here. That's not to say that it's impossible, it's just very hard. Conquest plays a bit different. There are 6 capture points, meaning that if you have 2 balanced teams, you can become deadlocked with 3 points each, meaning that the ticket bleed is fairly slow. This makes for really long matches, which for me is great as I honestly love playing the map. However, I will say that if you find yourself on a team of people who play like 4-year-olds with no fucking thumbs, then due to this linear shape of the map, you can find yourself being pushed right back to your spawn and getting shot down worse than I do in nightclubs. And let me tell you, that really is depressing. That being said, it is fairly easy to sneak past the line and run to capture the enemy back flags. I found that this means that some of the enemy team is forced to spawn back, which gives your team the chance to counter, although if your team is allowed to be pushed that far back, the chances are they won't even realise and your advance will be as useless as an advance at an anti-abortion rally. So, in short, games of Conquest can play really well and end up very close if everyone involved is semi-competent. But if the teams aren't balanced, you're in for a world of frustration and pain. Lastly, there are a few points that I feel need to be raised about the maps. Although the majority of my feeling towards it are positive, there are a few negatives that need to be raised, so here goes. Firstly, I found that the autumnal colours in the low dusky light means that players really are hard to spot at distances. And in addition to this, there are a lot of low level trees and bushes. The age old problem of being shot by someone doing their best impression of a slow worm is slightly amplified. This isn't something that is going to ruin the experience, but it is worth noting. Also, there are a few bugs and such that I noticed in my play session. DICE announced yesterday that there was a known problem with the glare from the sun being too intense on some of the weapon skins, which is true, but not the end of the world. Also, DICE is already working on a fix for this, so it's nothing to worry about too much. Another thing that I noticed was there was a fair bit of terrain clipping at longer ranges, meaning that a lot of seemingly perfectly lined up headshots end up hitting some of the rocks, which can be a bit annoying. One more thing I noticed is that when playing Conquest, just down the valley from the sea flag there is a slight crevasse that you can fall down and even get a transport vehicle down. I spawned in such a vehicle and got out, and out of nowhere I was killed in action. I don't know if it was an isolated incident or if it's going to prove to be a lasting issue, so just be aware of that too. Anyway, that's my overall impressions of the new map Marita. Overall, I'm extremely happy with the new map, and I'm excited to really get into it and see how it settles down in a few weeks. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about the new map and if you're enjoying it. If you haven't already, it would make my day if you'd subscribe. I'm currently at 123 subs and I'd love to make it to 200 in the next month or so. Well, that's it for today. I'm Average Owl. Peace.